Yo, what's up guys, it's Aptrex here. In today's video, I'll be showing you guys how to set up a new 3DS emulator on your iOS devices, and I'll be showing you guys the best settings along with that gameplay of Pokémon X that we'll be testing out on my iPhone 15 Pro Max. I'll be talking about the minimum requirements as well. With that being said, let's get started. To get started, for today's video, we'll be using the Cytrus 3DS Emulator for iOS devices. It does not require you to set up sideload JIT for better performance. It is pretty optimized and it even supports the latest iOS 18.2. To add this 3DS emulator on your iOS devices, simply open App Store and search for the app that I'm about to show you guys. It is known as Folium. Now you guys might have already heard about Folium. It is an all-in-one emulator for iOS devices which even has support for console like Nintendo 3DS, Nintendo DS and even Super Nintendo system, and I think PlayStation 1 as well. The minimum requirements for this 3DS emulator is going to be iOS 16 or above, along with that iPad OS 16 or above. So let's add this on our iPhone. Now it is indeed a paid app. Currently it's on a sale, so it costs about $4. You can grab it on App Store by searching Folium. Once that has been done, tap on the open button and you'll notice a setup screen. You can simply tap on the skip button. Afterwards it will ask you to import games. Now this is a very important step. You'll need to import your 3DS games that you want to play on your iOS devices. So tap on the import button. Afterwards choose the folder where you have stored your 3DS games. You guys can see I have stored my Pokémon X game inside the Folium folder. I'll just go ahead and select it and then tap on the open button. Afterwards you'll notice that Pokémon X splash screen icon will be shown in the Folium emulator. Now let's start with the best settings that you need to use if you also want to emulate 3DS games on your iPhone. Simply tap on core settings, then go to Citrus settings. Afterwards go to settings. Let's talk about the core settings where you can decrease the CPU clock percentage if you want better performance. For example, the developer has made a detailed note saying that changing the clock's frequency of emulated 3DS CPU can increase the performance but also cause freezing issues. Now if you are using a high-end iPhone like the iPhone 15 Pro Max, then you don't really need to do any of these things. But if you are using a old low-end iPhone or face some lagging issues, you can underclock your CPU to 95 or 90, though you can go as low as 5 in terms of underclocking and as high as 200 in terms of overclocking. I'll set it to default CPU clock percentage. Make sure to enable the new 3DS mode for better compatibility. Afterwards you can choose the console region according to your choice. I won't be doing that though, but the most important settings are in the renderer section, where make sure to enable asynchronous shader compilation for better performance, and it might give you some graphical issues, but to fix those you can also enable accurate shader multiplication. This will decrease the performance by a little bit, but it will make sure that your gameplay experience is pretty good and you don't face any graphical issues. Afterwards make sure to turn off vertical sync if you want more than 30 FPS. I generally recommend it because I like to play games at 60 FPS. Make sure to enable shader JIT if you are facing compatibility issues, but for today's video I'll keep it turned off. Afterwards you also get a resolution option where you can increase the resolution by up to 10 times. Currently my resolution is set to 1x. If you tap on the plus icon, it will be upscaled to 2x. I recommend you guys to go with 2x resolution on most high-end iPhones. If not, then you can set it to default 1x resolution. You can also enable some of the texture filters that have been provided, but I recommend you to go with default. Once that has been done, we get some audio settings. You can keep all of that as default and make sure to turn off audio stretching for better performance. Now that we have set up everything about the Citrus 3DS emulator, you can also tap on these three lines and go to cheats to import your own cheats for the game that you want to emulate. Now we have completed with the setup as well as best settings. The next part is going to be the gameplay test. Let's just go ahead and tap on Pokémon X and launch it on our iPhone. When you open it for the first time, you may get a prompt. You just have to tap on allow or don't allow. Anyways, once that has been done, here's where I am unsatisfied about this 3DS emulator. If you guys remember, then Emu3DS was also an 3DS emulator for iOS devices. It had some options that were actually useful. For example, decreasing the opacity of the on-screen touch controls, because currently you will be able to see that the on-screen controls are actually covering some of the text, which is not that great. And I also remember that it had an FPS option, FPS overlay option, where if you turned it on, you would see how well is your game working in real time. And you can also tap on the settings button at the bottom if you want to directly open settings while emulating the game. You can also modify your settings, so it's a pretty useful feature. You can also enable custom layout if you want to use a different screen layout. I think in Emu3DS you used to get large screen layout, which was actually pretty amazing, just like the Citra emulator's large screen layout. layout. In Folium Emulator or Cytrus Core, you don't really get those options, which I do hope the developer adds in the near future. Here we go guys, our game has successfully started and now I have switched back to 1x resolution just to get a feel of how well does the game actually work. There are some stuttering issues here and there. Obviously we are not using any sort of JIT, that's why the performance won't be the best, though I think I'm getting anywhere from 25 to 30 FPS while emulating Pokémon X on my iPhone 15 Pro Max. Well, obviously inside house you can expect good FPS, but how well does this emulator perform once we actually exit the house, and is it better than Emu 3DS Emulator? Let's find out. Here's the beginning cutscene. I'll skip through it so not to waste your time. Now we can finally find out if the game is working well. Now another thing which I just noticed is the delay from when you change the position of the controller. So I think this delay also needs to be worked on. There is obvious delay in the on-screen touch controls. Anyways, there are a lot of stuttering issues, but I do believe that it's just shaders being compiled. It's not a big deal. I think the game is still running at almost 25 to 30 FPS even in outside world areas. So it's definitely a playable gameplay experience. As for the question, is it better than Emu 3DS? I'm not really sure. I think both emulators are amazing. It's up to your personal preference on which one you decide to use. So yeah guys, that's going to be it for today's video. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe, turn on all notification as I upload similar videos. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.